in the morning, Shade 45.
Yeah, you got it.
Showing you the versatility we talked about. Digital Underground. Founder, leader, Shock G. Come on, man. This is our brother. Reached out to a lot of people. Greg Shock G Jacobs. I told earlier a story of how King Tech and I met him when he was working at a music store, and King Tech and him were going back and forth about the groups they had coming out, and they became friends, and then we eventually all met, and I remember going to his home and talking to him about what they had coming up in the future, right when they signed with Tommy Boy Records and opening up for them. You know, at that time, you know, we were working with Alex Mejia, one of the most reputable, one of the most respected DJs, music programmers, producers to ever come out of the Bay Area. I got him on the line right now. Give it up for Alex Mejia.
Alex!
Hey, Alex!
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's my honor to be on your show this morning. Never talked this morning, but how you doing, legend? How you feeling? How you feeling?
Hey, Icon, I'm doing well, baby. You know, we've been celebrating this man's life. You know, I'm thankful that we got the 57 years we did get in the time that we got in the 80s and in the 90s, and to watch that star ascend. And Davey D was right there with it, one of the most respected journalists to ever pick up a pen. We got Davey D with us, my mentor, Davey D.
Hey.
How you doing? What's up, everybody? Hey, Alex.
You know, and man, fellas, let's talk about it. You know, I was given some history through my lens, the context of Digital Underground, and when I first heard them, when they had Underwater Rhymes out, and Your Life is a Cartoon, and Shock G just kind of landed in the Bay in the mid-'80s and just absorbed the Bay Area energy and was nothing but giving. Alex, tell us about when you met Shock G and what stories you can share.
Well, thank you so much, Sway, for all you do and your morning show team. I love them so much.
Thank you.
With Shock G, I'm going to tell you, he was unique, special, and he was a giver. He gave so much of his life to music and his craft. He sacrificed so much. But around him, he had an entire family that he just uplifted. And when I first met Shock G, was in the music room of KMEL Radio. Him and Adrian Gregory came in. They had their records on McCullough Records first out the gate. And to all the citizens out there, I suggest you do the research. As you're coming up in the game, it's important you understand the hard work that gets put in to truly make it. So do your research on him, and you will see him rise through it. After he had his independent record, he came out, and next thing you know, Tommy Boy Records swooped him up. And then you begin to hear this sound and this movement even more so, and find out all the affiliations, the DJ Fuse, the Sleuth, the Money B's that were all involved with everything more and more. And I'm going to tell you, it was extremely exciting because hip-hop was young. It was brand new. And they put a twist on it to celebrate and put a party to it that hip-hop had never had before. I heard you guys say earlier it was like a festival or something when he came on stage. And they just brought such a righteous, positive funk, jazz fusion mixed with just good energy. And I love that sound that came out of the Bay from Digital Underground. I love that sound. Go ahead. Keep going. Keep it rocking, my brother. Keep going.
Okay.
Yeah. So with Shock G, with him being, he surrounded himself with so many good people. You know, the Layla Steinbergs and the Adrian Gregory's had great management, and everybody could see that he was positive to work with. And so as they blew up, you know, the world took them from the Bay Area immediately. And they just were great ambassadors of the Bay. Them, Hammer, and Vogue. You know, early on, it was just amazing to see what they were able to accomplish. And they inspired so many people from the Bay. Because if they can make it, I can make it. So they just made us all better at what they were able to do. And then as time went on, I was lucky enough to and work with you and Tech. You know, they were hot, and you guys were up and coming. So I said, you know, I asked them to be a part of Time for Peace. And they loved your message in that record. and they joined us together in your movement for what you were making happen. And Time for Peace, once again, citizens, if you don't know that record, please seek out that record. You will see a lot of the subjects that they're talking about in that particular song is still happening today, still going on. But he was a fighter for truth and justice, as well as being one of the funkiest musicians and hip-hop pioneers. He was very special. Shock G was extremely special.
Absolutely.
And I got to get myself together here.
Take your time, man. Take your time.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking about that earlier, Alex. I brought you up.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we were in the studio that day, and Shock G, Money B, and Paris, we were all in the studio, you know, at the same time. Tech, you know, and what that vibe was like. And that was the first time we stepped outside of our crew, I'm trying to think, and really collaborated with artists of that magnitude. You know, we had our own wake-up show crew, the Motion Mans, the Bums, you know, Mr. Me, all the different people that we were producing and putting out, Full Resistance, all those different folks. But we hadn't really worked with anybody like Paris or Digital Underground or Hammer or Too Short in that magnitude. So thank you for that. You had that vision, man. I appreciate that, brother.
Yeah. Shock G was very special. And then once again, the Bay Area was very young in hip-hop, and we had a family just to keep striving. And Davey D played a significant role with helping putting all together, and to see their relationship and what it manifested. Because Davey D knew them before the big success came. And Davey, what's your thoughts on a lot of this stuff that's emerging right now about Shock G?
Well, I'm still in shock. I'm still stunned about the whole thing. You know, I mean, it was just devastating news. I knew Shock real early on. I met him through Chopmaster J when they were bringing around Underwater Rhymes. So I got to meet and talk with Shock a lot. He's been over at my house early on. And the two things that I remember, and many people might not know, their initial thrust was not to be Digital Underground. There was a crew called Spice Regime. And they had plans to be a more militant, black social conscious group. And the only reason why they didn't go in that direction with wearing the berets and everything was because Public Enemy had hit the scene. And so they really re-emphasized the whole funk aspect. And so I remember early on when they were planning the whole sex packet concept, where, you know, Shock was sitting there talking about, you know, putting these packages out in doctors' offices and leaving them in phone booths and having people believe that if you took a pill, it would stimulate sex. I remember that whole concept, and people were believing it. They had pamphlets and the whole nine. You know, he was special in this sense that he redefined hip-hop. A lot of people also don't know that even though he was hip-hop to the core in terms of two turntables and a mic, he was also a gifted musician. And he early on was experimenting with having digital as a band. So I remember they performed at the Scottish Rite, and it would be DJ Fuse and, you know, on the turntable, and it would be Kenny K when he was alive. He came out here for a couple of the shows, and they were going back and forth with the band, you know, with Chopmaster J playing drums and Shock rocking the keyboards as piano man versus Fuse and Kenny on the turntables. So way before the Roots or anybody, first time I really seen hip-hop flip into a band was with digital. We're talking about, you know, mid-'80s, late 80s. I met Tupac through Shock. He brought Pac to my house. I had a piano here. I remember Shock would sit here and play this piano, and Pac sitting right here in the staircase that I'm looking at. I'm still in the same place. And, you know, shy, not saying anything. Like, what's your name again? Tupac. Like, what, to what? You know, but both of them in the house, and Shock going through all these things, playing hip-hop songs on the piano. That's what I remember about him. all the groups that he was doing, the whole concept of being like a new reinvention of Parliament. So they had like tons of groups, Big Money Otis, Pee Wee. I think I introduced them to Sloot, and then that's how, they wound up taking that group, MGM, Money B, and Fuse and Mac Moan and coming in and joining their crew. The Humpty Dance, 2 days or 3 days after the big earthquake, they did the video down at Townsend.
Mm-hmm.
Shock had me dress up as him because a lot of people didn't know that him and Humpty were the same people at the time. So when they shot the video, if they were shooting from the back, they had me stand in and play Shock's role. So we had a pretty cool relationship. The thing that really hit me most about him was some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that he did. Early on, he was behind Bone Marrow, making sure black folks had bone marrow. So I think there was an organization, I'm going to remember the name, up in Vallejo, and he was, putting a lot of money to that. No fanfare, no, sitting up there bragging about it. It was just things he did. Shock was also an incredible artist. He had all these drawings. He would have a picture full color, big poster pictures that he drew. I remember Rakim. He drew Rakim and lying on a slab of concrete, and all these artists from LL Cool J on down underneath them. And he was talking about I'm the king, and he had all these pictures. He left one over at my house. It's LL Cool J, big poster. It's not colored in, and LL Cool J is pointing at you and talking about, you are a sucker, write this 100 times. And it's probably the last picture that he has left because a big tragedy hit Shock, I want to say in 93, when we had the Oakland Hills fire. And in that fire, he lost everything. He lost all his masters. He lost the albums that he was working on. He lost his music, everything. Him and Sloot, one of my best friends, who was their road manager. They all lost everything. And in my opinion, he never really recovered from that. He never really got back to the spirit that we knew. And I know because I've lost stuff, that I never got back. And that's just a hard place to come back from. I'm going to miss that guy. I've had many conversations with him. A lot of them were along, political stuff. He taught me a lot about music. His insight to music was just incredible. Long before people thought about Drake, he was talking about the greatness of Drake, and that was very surprising, that he had that insight. His breakdown on how people approach music was just incredible. And, he always had that social consciousness. And, just the funny stories, is a lot of people don't know that it's at one point he was jealous of Humpty, because Shock had a whole plan, and he wanted to introduce these characters one at a time. And what he told me was he had Piano Man, he had MC Blowfish, he had Humpty, and he was going to do albums for them. And I remember he had, we got introduced to Humpty with the song Do What You Like. But the way the story went was, that the Humpty Dance came as a last minute because they couldn't get a sample cleared. So they put this Humpty Dance song on the album. That's why you don't really see Humpty on the Sex Package album. And it blew up. And so everywhere Shock went, he'd come to the station like, I'm Shock G. And people be like, oh, you're cool. Where's the Humpty guy? Mm-hmm. And so, after a while, that was like, damn, I'm Shock G. Like, I'm this musician, this genius. Yeah, but where's the guy with the nose? And so, I think, for a period of time, and we talked
wow.
about it.
I remember this.
Man, this thing is, I'm a little jealous of him.
Yeah, he's bigger than Digital Underground.
Well, you know what was interesting about Humpty? He had a whole storyline behind Humpty, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whole storyline. Edward J. I forget what
Edward
the full
Ellington
name was.
Humphrey III.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what he called him. And he was the lead singer of Smooth Eddie and the Humpers.
Yeah. I mean, he had so many plans for these groups. I mean, we weren't thinking like that in hip hop. I don't think people can fully appreciate it. We're talking about 87, 88. He had these ideas. You know, he's talking about changing characters and, you know, and just having, you know, multiple groups come out from under him. You know, this is pre-Wu-Tang. This is pre-everything. You know, we've never seen anything like that before. I'm going to miss that guy.
Yeah.
I'm really
innovator.
Yeah. I was
you know,
telling.
I'll say one last thing.
You could say as many things as you want. Go ahead.
There's 5 members from that Digital Underground family that are no longer with us. You know, that played key roles. There's Shock, there's Pac, there's Big D, the producer. You know, Pac's producer, The Impossible. There's Stretch, and Kenny K. You know, we can never forget Kenny because Kenny was key for him when, you know, coming out of Brooklyn and then, you know, being down in Tampa where he did a big hip-hop radio show. That was his first DJ.
Man.
What a legend.
What a legend. Like, way you hear these stories, this is way before, let's say, Eminem decided to do Eminem, Slim Shady, Marshall Mathers. You know what I mean? This is way before people had these multiple personalities. I was talking about Underwater Rhymes where MC Blowfish, you know, and all these characters were being introduced. And I'll never forget, man, opening up for them at the Omni in North Oakland.
Oh, I remember that show. That show. Yeah.
Who was on that bill? What you remember about that show, Davey?
Well, what I remember, if I'm correct, that's the show that Pac came in, and wasn't NWA there as well? And Pac came in. He had gotten beaten by the police a few days before. He came there all bandaged up, talking about, you know, F the police and suing the police, and talking about he was going to take all their money and build a boys' center for them. That's what I remember. If this is the same show, there was a few shows at the Omni, but I think that's the one because the whole Digital Underground crew was there. Big Money Otis, Shock, the whole nine.
The whole nine. NWA was there. Me and Tech opened up. And then it was a L.A. group there, too, that things didn't go too good. But I'll never forget that, man, because that was the last time we got a chance to perform with them. And, man, I want to thank y'all for really painting this picture about Shock G and Digital Underground.
And I wanted to ask, too, though, hey, Alex and Dave, what's up? It's Heather. Hey. I appreciate you guys calling into the show.
Heather!
Hey, what's up? We are learning so much about, you know, who Shock G was, Gregory Shock G Jacobs, as an artist and what he was doing behind the scenes. And I'm learning so much today. I'm just blown away. But did he have any family? Like, did he have any children? Was he a father? Because I don't know that side. Did he have any kids, if you guys know?
Not that I knew of. I just know he had his brother Ken. You know, Ken the conditioner. Who,
shout out to
his brother. When they went on the road, you know, Ken would play or dress up, I guess, as Humpty until Shock did the thing. That's what I remember.
Got it. Okay.
You know, we should also remember, I think Mystic came out of that whole DU crew as well.
Mystic, yeah. Yeah, Mystic, yeah.
That's right. She came out of that DU crew as well. There's a lot of people that came from under there.
Grammy-nominated Mystic. K. Cloud, Saphir. He can't forget Saphir. He was a part of them as well. He reached out. He reached out to Tech and myself as well. You know, we just all we all took our own lanes, but he sat down and courted us a little bit.
I have to say,
that whole Time for Peace was a classic record, man. That should have been a Grammy-nominated song. I mean that.
Wow, thank you, brother. Thank you, man.
Hey,
Alex,
Heather, when you look at it, the bigger picture, we were his family.
Amen.
All of us.
Amen.
We were his family because of what he did. And the beautiful thing about Digital Underground was it brought everybody together. That good music brought both coasts together, and the South and and the world. Their music was truly unifying. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to miss him too, man. Great brother. Mm-hmm. Great brother.
You know what, you were just talking, here's one funny story. If Sway, you may remember this. There was a KRS-One concert that took place in Berkeley where two people got stabbed and they banned rap in the Bay Area for a while. And one of the ways that it got back was Digital Underground came down to the Berkeley City Council. They had banned it in Oakland. They had banned rap concerts in Berkeley, the city right next to us. And during the city council, people came up, and I remember Sleuth or Shock talked to the city council, and they said, let me tell you something. We got 1 million people doing the Humpty Dance because they had sold like 1 million records at that time. And they said, y'all better turn this decision around, or we're going to have 1 million people voting you out of office. Don't make us put you on blast and make you part of the record. And, of course, they turned that decision over, but that was just Digital Underground. Like, they didn't show up in limousines and velvet ropes and all that, but they showed up as a crew to represent, for our community. I'll never forget that, too. That was funny. I think it was Sleuth who said it, but they were all there to represent.
Absolutely. Hey, fellas, let's celebrate this man's presence in our lives and this culture, the impact that he made with the Digital Underground movement. How many of us benefited from it? How many of us are who we are because of it, And so, Alex, I want to thank you for making that moment with Time for Peace. We had a lot of moments with Digital Underground, man. I used to love to see him on the Summer Jam stage, and come on, man. Y'all remember those days?
Oh man, they would kill it.
They would kill it.
The future generations that are making music, please study Digital Underground. Please walk in their footsteps if you can, because you will have a good time, but also you will do it right. So do what you like. Do what you like.
Do what you like. Thank you, Davey D. Let's go into that. Thank you, Alex Mejia. Fellas, I'm actually flying to the Bay this afternoon. If y'all want to get together, let's get together this weekend, okay?
Most definitely.
All right. I love you too, man. Love you.
Love you back, Sway. Take care. Take care, Heather. Take care.
Take care, y'all. Love to
Later,
y'all.
y'all. Thank you.